Hey everybody, it's me Stacy here at Scrapbooking Made Simple, and welcome to our 100th YouTube. Can you believe it? I can't believe that I've done 100 of these already. I don't know where the time went. It just seems like yesterday I was at Sears buying my video camera going, how do you turn this thing on? Because I had never owned a video camera before. But we have done 100 mini classes. That's just amazing to me. I feel like I know all of you. I know you by your usernames and your comments and your postings, and I sit here and I talk to you and it's like we're just the best of friends, and thank you for that. This is just overwhelming. I know we've been counting down to 100 for some time now, and we finally made it, and I'm hoping that we have 100 more. Not sure about that yet, but I'm hoping that there's 100 more to come. We'll have to wait and see how that goes, though. Now, I'm up in the Scrappernacle, which is the new warehouse, and it's under construction right now, meaning my husband is painting and putting in shelving and doing electrical. He's got a list of honeydews that you can't even imagine, and so I might be echoing a little bit, and also the lighting might not be as great, but I needed to be someplace where it was quiet, and the store is open right now, so I can't do it down in the store. So here we are up in the Scrappernacle, and gosh, I don't know if I can tilt this down. Oh, there we go. Can you see? There's the beginnings. Oh, let me get out of the way. There's the beginnings of the Sizzix warehouse sale. That's the first set of dies that have come in. Ellison and Sizzix are delivering pallets for the next 7 weeks, getting ready for the Shop That Didn't Hop event and the Sizzix warehouse sale, and that starts on July 18th. So today is our last big hoo-ha for a while. I mean, I'll have more YouTubes coming, but in terms of big sales or flash sales or anything like that, everything, we're done until the Shop That Didn't Hop and the warehouse sale featuring Sizzix happens. And that way, we're all ready for you. I can't wait. My Willy Wonka costume got here yesterday. I'm so excited. We have to do a little tweaking because, of course, we have to go bam like Emerald does and take it up a notch, but everything is here. Now we have winners from the last YouTube, and so I have winner chicken dinner. Are you ready to hear if you are a winner from the last YouTube, which was using the Vertigo product and the neon inks both by Sukaniko and dyes by Brenda Walton and Ellison? So are you ready to hear if you won? Okay. I'm gonna tell you now. If you're Kathy Isabel, Kathy Isbell, or Amanda Moffat, congratulations, ladies, you have won. You've got a great little collection of products coming to you, and I hope you like them. I really enjoyed the Vertigo paper. I thought it was just, or the Vertigo sheets, they were just wonderful. Now, how are you gonna claim your prizes? You are going to email us at asksms@earthlink.net, and you're gonna say, hey Naomi, I'm a winner from YouTube 100, and give her your name, your address, your telephone number, and as soon as she has the chance, she will get those products right out to you. But today is the day we do our super big giveaways for all of you who have been so kind and so loyal and watch each and every YouTube. It just touches my heart. So I promised that we would have prizes galore, and I hope that I don't disappoint. What we did is we went back and we took a look at everything that was never claimed. If you can believe it, people are winner chicken dinner and don't claim their prizes. We have between 30 and 40 prizes to give away for this YouTube. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but between 30 and 40 gifts that we can give away just for being in this YouTube 100. And it's everything from full sets of Winkalunas to full collections of paper. There are prizes valued at $200. There's so much to give away, and this is your chance to win it. I mean, We have got later in my Facebook feature that I do, and if you're watching this in 2015, you're never going to see the Facebook feature, but in the Facebook feature I'm going to do later today, we're going to do a table walk of all the prizes. And this is all of the things that have been waiting for people to claim them that never claimed them in the past 2 years. So this is a lot of stuff to give away, and I threw in a few little bonus things because I want as many of you to win as possible. How do you win? All you have to do is post on this YouTube. And how do you do that? You have to be a subscriber. So you're going to watch the entire YouTube mini class, and then you're going to post your comment. And what do you have to post? Well, this time I'm going to ask you to be specific. I want to know what your favorite YouTube was. Was it my very first YouTube where I said, here I am trying to figure out how to use a video camera, all the way up to last week's YouTube? You pick the YouTube that was your favorite and let me know. I can't thank you enough for being part of my life, for being part of Scrapbooking Made Simple, and for building this with me, for going on this journey that I never thought was going to happen when I just sat down and put a camera in front of my face and started to talk. Mr. SMS still can't believe it, but then he hears me talk all day long. So be a winner, chicken dinner. Post your comment, tell me your favorite YouTube, and let's share some of these wonderful prizes for you. Now today, and of course, Kathy Isbell and Amanda Moffat, you've already been a winner, chicken dinner. Congratulations. And Naomi even wrote, wahoo. Now today I have a really wonderful mini class for you today, and it's using memory box stencils. And there's a lot of technique in here, and there's a lot of information in this YouTube, because that's what we try to do, provide as much information as we possibly can so you know how to use the products you may already have in your arsenal, in your stash. So I am going to tilt on down, and I'm going to get started for today. And I'll see you in a little bit. And again, from me to you, thank you so much. Down we go. I'm gonna tear up. I can't cry, it's YouTube time. Okay, so this is what we've got for you today. This was a make and take a couple weeks ago, and it is using the memory box stencils. Isn't it a darling card? Can you see how we've embossed and sanded? Now, there's definitely some tips and tricks and techniques to doing this, because we're working with not an embossing folder, but actually, ooh, I got it all, there we go, a plastic stencil. A plastic stencil. So I'm going to move this aside, and I'm going to go through a few basics, and if you already know this, that's okay, just hang with me, and if you don't, then this is really good information. Stencils, again, they're just a piece of plastic that has been laser cut to make the design. Normally, when you use a stencil, you think of, I used to stencil my walls. Oh my gosh, back in the 80s, I stenciled everything. I had like chicken patterns going in my kitchen, and I look back at some of the pictures and I go, oh my. But then I also look back at my hair when I was in high school and go, oh my. There was not enough Aquanet for me, but anyway, so this is a stencil. It's just a plastic laser cut piece of, there we go, plastic, very, very flexible. And most of the time you would use some kind of an ink and you would stencil with it. You can also use your mists. You can go in there and color with anything that's gonna have movement to it. I wanna show you really quick, for those who are not familiar with stenciling, what it does. As a basic stencil, I've got a leaf stencil here. Leaf stencil, really easy. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a little bit of painter's tape. Now, I know some people use washi tape, some people use Post-it notes, but I'm going to use a little bit of painter's tape, because the painter's tape I'm sure will not stick to my paper. And I get really good, I can make it any length I want. I get really good coverage, and it's a whole lot cheaper than using washi tape. And I just don't think a Post-it note for this gives you enough grip. I don't want this to move. So I'm just going to tape it right down with some painter's tape. You can get that at the dollar store, wherever. And then I've got some of my Memento inks. And I'm just gonna take my lids off. I've got the dewdrop size. I like the dewdrop size very much because there's, I think, 36 or 48 colors of Memento, and you may not want a full-size ink pad for, this is pistachio, but you want all the colors. Well, the dewdrop size lets you have all the colors without spending too much money. The full size is $5.20, and these I think are $2.10. So I have a full size in black and brown, and the colors, my go-to colors. But then I have all of the little sizes and all those fun colors that I may not use all the time. Now I'm also just using a cheap, inexpensive makeup sponge that you can get at the dollar store. Because I want good coverage, I'm not using a brush stick. I don't want to try and go in there with a brush stick because I don't want this stencil necessarily to move. Yes, if you have your Tim Holtz Distress Inker, your applicator, your Tim Holtz applicator, you can absolutely use that as well. My thought is, if you've got it, go ahead and use it, but when you run out, this is a whole lot cheaper and it does the exact same thing, and it allows you to maybe spend money on things you can't get, like another stencil or maybe some more inks. You can use a pigment-based ink to do this, but you're going to have to let it dry. You can let a dye-based ink, do it with a dye-based ink. You can do it with a chalk-based ink, or you can do it with mists. Today I'm just going to go in here with a little bit of my Memento, and I'm just going to start to sponge. Now if you notice, I start off here's the opening where it's going to leave the ink. I start on the plastic part. That way it doesn't leave like an edge from my sponge. And if you have the Tim Holtz, you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to go off, you're going to start off and work onto your paper. And you can see I'm not changing my sponge, I'm just going between colors. You're not going to contaminate your colors with Memento because really you're not using that much, you're just literally picking up some color. So I'm just going in here and I'm just randomly adding color. It's not about being precise, it's kind of, you want that look of mottled, more natural. There we go. So that's what I'm working on. And it's very easy to do. Let me hold it up, let me pull this off. And hold it up. And that's where I'm at. I didn't finish, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what a stencil does. Then I would peel off my painter's tape and see how it doesn't stick to my paper at all. You want to make sure that if you're using washi tape, try it first to make sure it doesn't accidentally peel your paper. And that's where I'm at. Now I've got this one all done. Put that one aside. That one's all done. And that's what a typical stencil is used for. And like I said, you can put it down on paper. You can take your Glimmer Mist or your Lindy's Stamp Gang or your whatever your favorite mist is out there, and you can mist it as well to get a same type of effect. It'll leave the image behind. But I really like it with the inks because I have a lot more control over it, and I really do like it with painter's tape because I'm sure it's not going to stick to my paper, whatever kind of paper I'm using. But isn't that beautiful? All from just a very simple stencil. So if you can imagine my kitchen and my stencil was a chicken, which I guess is better. My mom had mushrooms in her house. Did you guys have mushrooms? That kind of dates you back to the 70s. Mushrooms and those really big forks and spoons were on the wall in our kitchen. Anyway, so basic stenciling is that's what you do. Today we're going to do something completely different. We're actually going to do an embossing with the stencil. And we're going to run it through the Sizzix Big Shot machine, which is a little different because normally you think of needing a embossing folder, but I'm going to show you how to do it, and I'm going to show you the result that you get when we do it with just a basic stencil. Now before we start that, I want to talk a little bit about paper. I'm going to put this aside, and I want to talk a little bit about paper because paper is a really important part of what we're doing today. If you don't have the right paper, you're not going to get the right result. Now, I've talked about paper before, so I'm just going to briefly go over it one more time. I've got a whole bunch of different types of papers here, and they are all different, and they do different things. This is a solid core paper. It's smooth, there's no texture on it at all. It's wonderful for stamping and wonderful for die cutting. But if you tear it, the color goes all the way through. It's called solid core. If the color is the same all the way through from top to bottom, it's called solid core. And again, stamping on it, beautiful because it's nice and smooth. Die cutting with it, fabulous. But if you're going to do any kind of sanding and you want a relief to come up, this is not the paper to do. You could sand and sand and sand and sand, and because it's the same color all the way through, you'll never see any difference until you see a big old hole. Then you know you're done. Now, I also have here a patterned or a textured piece of solid core paper. This has kind of a linen-y texture to it. It's not as good for stamping because it's got that, you can even hear it, it's got that linen-y texture so you don't have a nice smooth surface, but it still is solid core. It's the same color all the way through. So again, if you want to emboss with it with an embossing folder, it looks beautiful. But then if you want to sand it to bring that relief up, you're not going to get it because this is a solid core piece of paper. Textured, smooth. Great for die cutting, great for stamping. Awesome for die cutting, not so good for stamping. And of course, all your matting and all of that, that's up to you. Then I have a piece of paper here that looks like it would be something you could sand because it's two colors. This is the Whirlwind Double Mates paper, and we have an exclusive on the 40 pack, and it's fabulous paper. And yes, if you tear it, you will see the two colors. Absolutely. What Whirlwind has done is taken two sheets of paper and laminated them together to make one. And you can tear to the other color, but you cannot sand. So if I was to emboss this and then I wanted to sand it to get that relief to come up, it's not going to work. The only thing you can do with this is tear it. Now, we use this a lot for card bases because it's fabulous. You get one color on one side and then the inside of the card is a coordinating color. And to die cut with it, it is stunning. Oh my gosh, if you've got a negative and a positive like a flower, if you've got the background of the flower and then an outline to go over it, this paper is awesome because you die cut it twice and the colors already coordinate. It's fabulous. But for what we're doing today, the Whirlwind Double Mates paper is not the paper you're going to want to use because it cannot sand. Now I've got a piece of basic just double-sided paper that you see in scrapbook stores everywhere. 12 by 12, I cut it down to a smaller piece, but this is just a simple double-sided sheet of paper. When you tear this, it tears to white. Almost every double-sided paper on the market tears to white. That means that you can emboss it like we're going to do and then sand it, and it will sand, that relief will sand to white. So if you like Authentique or Graphic 45 or Kaiser Craft or Bow Bunny or Glitz or I don't know, there's a million different brands out there. If it's a double-sided paper, yes, you can use it for the application we're doing today because it tears to white. And when you're done, when you're sanding it, the image will come up in that white. So remember, if you have double-sided paper and you want to use it for embossing, go ahead, just tear a little piece, make sure it tears to white, and if it does, you are good to go. Now, this is Bow Bunny double dot paper, and sometimes you see this in the cardstock section of your scrapbooking store or your craft store. This is also just a double-sided paper because when I tear it, it tears to white. So they've printed the dot on one side, the plain on the other, but yes, it tears to white. That means when I emboss it and I sand it, that white is going to come up through that yellow so you see the relief of the embossing. So Bow Bunny double dot is just another double-sided paper. All you have to do is tear it, and if you see the white, you know you're good. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about Coredinations paper, which is what we're going to be working with today. Again, you'll see this mostly in your cardstock section at your stores, your local stores. We have it in 12 by 12 sheets for our local peeps, but then we also have it in 6 by 6 pads and 4.5 by 5.5 for, or 4.25 by 5.5 for our online peeps. What you need to notice is, see this bar down here at the bottom? It's a different color. It's a different color for a reason. That tells you if you sand this or you tear it, this is the color you're going to see, even though the front and the back are both the same. Sandwiched in the front and the back is this beautiful light green. There it is. Is that fabulous? Coredinations is the only company that does this. And the way you tell what color you're going to get from when you sand it or you tear it is the color that's on the bottom of that rim if you're buying the 12 by 12. It's beautiful, and it is the only company that does that. So we're going to be working with this today with the Coredinations paper and the memory box stencils and our Sizzix Big Shot machine. And now that we've gone over paper a little bit, I want to talk about your platforms, because this is also really important. If you have a magnetic platform, you cannot use it for this application. It's too thick. The magnetic platform is not one that you're going to use today. So you're going to put it to the side. If you have this, I'm so jealous. I would do anything to get these back. I love them. A few customers over the years have been so kind and sent me where they had extras, and I'm telling you, we love them, we thank you, we treat them like gold. But this is the old multi-purpose platform, and it's shorter. I love it because of the size. Look at this poor one. It's been used. It's being loved though. Trust me, it's being loved. And it doesn't come with the machine anymore. The newer machines all come with the extended multi-purpose platform, which is also nice. But if you're like me, you want both of them. Because when I'm doing something small, I want this one, and when I'm doing something big, I want that one. I'm terrible. I'm just as bad as all of you. I want both. So unfortunately, this is discontinued and you can't get it anymore. But if you have it, treat it with love, and know that if you have this one and not the large one, that's okay. You're going to be just fine doing what we're doing today. And if you have the large one and not the small one, that's okay. Both of these are absolutely identical with the exception of the length. The tabs are the same, the height differences are the same, the sandwiches are the same. The only difference is the length. So if you have the small one, don't feel bad that you don't have the big one. And if you have the big one and you don't have the small one, don't feel bad you don't have the small one. And if you have both, woohoo for you. And if you ever want to give the small one up, hello, I'm here. So for today, I'm going to use the larger one because that is what comes with the new Big Shot machine. And so we're going to get started. Now, I'm going to take my template here, and I'm going to be working with my Knock Knock and my Gush Pad. So squishy, squishy. This is actually called a silicone impression pad. Item number 655120 or 121. So one of these is 120 and one of these is 121. So the actual name, because people say, I can't find Knock Knock Pad, it is the silicone impression or the silicone mat. And I'm sure if you look up 655120 or 121, you will find it. This is the Knock Knock. Hear it? Knock Knock? It is called the textured impression pad. And again, it's one of those two numbers. You need both of these. These are like two peas in a pod. They go together. They let's get together. No, that's Haley Mills. That's Parent Trap. No, so these go together, and you need to have both of them to make it work. They are, I think, $7, so they're not expensive. No, they do not come with your Sizzix machine when you buy it originally. What you get with your Sizzix machine is a platform and 2 cutting mats. These are optional and are sold separately. Yes, we have them, but no, you want the Knock Knock and the Squishy. And the item numbers are 655120 and 655121. Okay? Now, don't get the crease pad unless you need it. The crease pad is the thud pad, and we're not using it today. So stay with the textured impression, Knock Knock, and the silicone. Okay, those are the two we're going to be using today, along with just our regular clear plate that did come with our machine. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my my mask here from Memory Box, and this is what it looks like. That's how it comes. And I want you to notice that it has a little hole in the top because you can collect them and you can put like a little ball chain through it, so, or a ring through it, so you can keep everything together. But it also has the name right here. The name is right in there, and I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm trying to get some light on it. But that's the name of the stencil. That side is the side that has a little bit of edges on the actual stencil. If you rub your hand over it, you can feel that these edges are raised just a little bit, as opposed to the back side where the name is not. You can't feel the name, and this is completely smooth and flat. It's important that you be working with the name side up. That's really important. The name side has to be facing you, where you can feel the name, even if you can't see it or read it, because I'm 46 and I was on the phone with somebody yesterday. I think her name was Lori. Hi, Lori. I was on the phone with her and I was trying to read her telephone number, and my arm just kept getting further and further and further out. And I said, oh, time for reading glasses. But if you can feel that name on the top, that's the side you're going to want to have facing you when we do this technique. Just keep that in mind. All right? So I am going to take my multi-purpose platform and I'm going to open it to tab 1. We are going to be using tab 1. And it tells you, here's your squishy and here's your knock-knock. Now, they really don't make these textured impression, I don't know, plates anymore, these textured plates, but they do show you on your platform the squishy and the knock-knock. That's how you know you're on the right platform. It's platform 1. And I'm going to pull my machine over. I can hear myself echoing. It's weird. I'm going to pull my machine over, and I'm going to take my do not cut plate, which got cut into, but that's okay. My do not cut plate. I am going to take some of my paper and my stencil with that name face up. Remember, I need to be able to feel that. With that name face up, I'm going to put that down first. Then I'm going to put my paper on top. Then I'm going to put my squishy and cover the whole thing. And then I'm going to put my knock-knock and cover the whole thing. And then I'm going to send it on through. So here we go. Let me get that right out of the way. Now you know you're doing this right if that silicone pad, that squishy, starts squishing out the back. Can you see mine is starting to just start to squish out the back? I'm going to try and hold it. Can you see it growing, getting longer and longer? That way you know you've done it right. Pull this out. Move this over. We love our Big Shot machine. It is definitely the die cutting machine of choice here at Scrapbooking Made Simple because it does everything. Now, I've got the impression on there. Is it as deep as a typical embossing folder? No, it's not, because an embossing folder is just that. It's an embossing folder. It has a male and a female side. You squish the paper in between and it forces that embossing. This is more of a texture, and to get the most benefit out of it, you do want to then sand it. Now I've got my Sand It gadget, and this is a Coredinations product. It is made by the people who make the paper, and that's important too. People are like, well, I'll just go get sandpaper at the hardware store. You can do that, yes, but be sure of the grit that you buy. This was designed to go specifically for paper. You don't want a grit that's too low because then you're sanding, sanding, sanding and nothing's happening, and you don't want a grit that's too heavy because it will eat up your paper. I think these are $3.50 each, so it's well worth the money, and everything's held on by Velcro, so you can change. And they do sell, we have the refills, and the refills they're $1.20. You get 8 pieces of sandpaper for $1.20. And to know that it's gonna work with the paper without tearing it for that price, I would just go ahead and buy this so you can get this. Save your money on the painter's tape so you can get this. And let me give it a light sand. And what's going to happen is that relief is going to come up. And do you see how I'm going in circular motion? I'm not going back and forth, back and forth. I'm just trying to give a nice circular motion so that I don't leave striation lines. Now if I needed to get into a part that a little heavier and I didn't want to do all the way around, you use this side. But you're taking a very inexpensive piece of plastic and doing that with it. And the beauty of it is it's flat. There's no real raised part to it at all. So if you're then gonna layer things on top of it, you know, with embossing folders, sometimes they're so deep, they're absolutely gorgeous, but that etching is really, really deep that when you start to layer stuff on top of it, it gets thicker and thicker and chunkier and chunkier. Well, this has given you the look of an embossing folder without all that height to it. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And you can see how, because this is Coredinations paper, it didn't sand to white, it sanded to a very light green. Isn't that yummy? I love, 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 love it. And who would have thought that you could take your stencils and emboss with them? Now, we're featuring the memory box stencils because these are their new stencils and they're gorgeous. But if you have stencils from Prima or you have stencils from Crafter's Workshop, whomever you have stencil, you can make your own stencil if you go get some plastic and you can die cut using a Sizzix Bigs, a steel rule die. You can die cut and make your own stencils and do this. It's possible and it's fabulous. Now, Coredinations has a bunch of different kinds of paper. This is called the chocolate box. It's one of my favorites. I wanted to show you Black Magic, but it didn't get here in time. I'm really sorry, but Black Magic is very similar to the chocolate box. Whereas when you go through it, you're flipping and you're going, well, it's all browns. Well, yes, it is. It's all browns, but what you don't know is on the back side is these gorgeous, magnificent colors. So now what's gonna happen when I send it through and emboss it and then sand it? It's going to pick up these rich, amazing colors. Let me pull one out. So Black Magic is very much the same, where every sheet, it's black on top. But when you sand it, the colors on the backside are yummy. Let me go ahead and let's do the butterfly, shall we? Let's do the butterfly. So let me pull my machine back over. I remember the first time I saw this paper. It was at CHA and it had to have been about 5-6 years ago. And I just stopped in my tracks. I was like, holy smokes artichokes. Cuttlebug had just come out with their embossing folders. It was the first time anybody had seen embossing folders. And then I saw this paper and my head was going ding, 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 ding. And since then, Coredinations has just expanded upon it. Okay, so I have got my Sizzix Big Shot machine. Now this is called, we're calling this a free stencil, meaning it has no border around it. Let me see, what did I do? It has no border. The one that we did earlier has a border around it. So you're going to get that border when you emboss it. This one doesn't. This one has no border around it, which makes it a little bit trickier to feel the right side to have up. You need to feel, because one side has these little edges on the stencil and the other side is completely smooth. Yeah, see, this side's completely smooth and this side has the edges. The beauty about this is that you can do it over and over and over again on a piece of paper, and you can overlap it and you can make long borders with it because it has no edge. There's no stop part and no start part. It's yummy, it's fabulous. I love how most stencils are not like this free cut. Most stencils have some kind of a border or are cut out like this. This fabulous. And the way you know is when you look at the packaging, what you see is what you get. There is no border around it. And with Memory Box, which is really nice, they actually put the full size of the stencil or the full size of the die right on the top of the packaging. So if you see it and it's this big, you know that that's exactly what's inside the box. But this one has no border, so you can move it again and again and again and use it wherever you want without having any edges. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to take my do not cut plate. I'm going to feel my stencil. Yeah, I can feel the edges right there. I'm going to take that. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to take the paper that I want to use, and the paper that I want facing me when I'm all done with my card is the paper that you put face down. So I don't want to see the teal because I need to sand this brown to make that teal come up. I can't sand the teal to make the brown come up. I sand the brown to make the teal. So I don't want to see the teal. I want to see the brown. So the brown goes against the stencil. The side you want to see when you're finished embossing is the side you put against the stencil. Again, I've got my silicone pad, my squishy, and my knock knock. And I'm going to put it on in. I'm going to slide this up just a little bit. I'm going to put it on in and I'm going to send it through. And again, you know you're doing it right if you're silicone. Oh yeah, see, my silicone's coming out. Can you see it growing? It's right here, and it's just going to continue to grow until I'm done. That way you know you've got the right sandwich. Now, I have done a reverse stencil for you, which means I have imprinted, I wonder if I can cut it. I have imprinted so that instead of what we did here, where when I sanded it, the stencil came up, I've done a reverse stencil, where now when we sand it, it's going to leave the chocolate in the lines. Isn't that fabulous? This time I did the opposite. Here, the lines, when we sanded, they came up white. Here, it's the negative spaces that are coming up with the color, and the lines are staying the chocolate. You have your choice. You can do it either way. But what a pretty, pretty background this would make. Just trim it on down. My gosh, it's absolutely gorgeous. All done with a piece of plastic. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? Yummy, huh? And that's using the chocolate pad. And they have a bunch of different pads. They have whitewash and, oh, I've got them over here, darks and neutrals, to where you get a whole host of colors, but it just looks fabulous. And then if you wanted, you could then, let me do it towards you. When you tear paper, you always tear it towards you. If you're holding it, you always tear it towards you. So I could tear this paper and have that jagged edge on the side. I mean, with the color coming through, that coordinates with what I've just done. If I wanted, I could go in and I could sand it even more and get it really scruffy. I could sand the edges so that my edges are scruffy. Look at that. Yum! Love it. And the memory box, the stencils are pretty. I think that's what makes them different than a lot of the other stencil companies. They just really are pretty. So, and I really enjoy using them. I really like them. When I saw this latest collection, I called Dave, I emailed them, I said, I have to do this. This is beautiful. So that's using coordination paper. Okay? Really easy to do if you're using the right paper. And I do recommend the coordination or a regular white core. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna cut that little piece out. And I'm gonna take my butterfly stencil again, and let's just run it through some white so you can see what I'm talking about when I mention the white. Now remember, we're gonna open to tab 1, which is the second tab. And I know I've said it before, but I don't understand why the top tab isn't tab 1 and the bottom tab is tab 2, but okay. Okay. I'm gonna put down my do not cut plate. I'm going to put my paper, or I'm gonna put my stencil, I'm gonna put my stencil, I'm gonna feel for which is the right edge. Oh, see, that's completely smooth. And this one's got a little roughness to it. Put that down. I'm gonna put this right over the top. I'm gonna add my squishy. I'm gonna add my knock knock. No other clear plate, don't need a clear plate. And remember, if you're using the smaller multi-purpose platform, it's the exact same thing on the exact same tab. It's tab 1 there too. And I'm gonna send this through. My silicone pad, my squishy pad is growing. That's good. And out I go. And this time, oh, I just knocked off one of my stencils. This time, let's see, where's my sander? This time my white's gonna come up. Look it, you wouldn't even know it's there, would you? It's hardly even there. But then you start sanding and it's like magic. It's like, oh my gosh, it just like appears because it doesn't have that deeply embossed feel from a standard embossing folder. It's like magic, I love it. Yay! That's using a standard double-sided piece of paper that has a white core. So whether you use double-sided paper or you use the Coredinations, you need to have something that will contrast, that will sand so you can get that contrast. Yay! I know a lot of you have stencils from years ago. This is a great opportunity to break them out and try. You're only using paper. It's okay, get into that paper. You can, it's all right. It's just paper. And have fun, try and see what comes out. You never know, it could be absolutely fabulous, better than you ever expected. So, okay, what have we gone over today? We have gone over what normal stencils, when people think of stenciling, what they normally think of, which is just a piece of plastic that you would use an ink or a spray to give you a beautiful look, and it's absolutely gorgeous. You can use these for those. But then we talked about using your stencils to go ahead and emboss with them and leave a texture. Oh, I think I'm gonna sneeze. Leaving a texture, and it's just fabulous. It keeps the paper flat so you can layer, layer, layer without it being too bulky. That's important. You don't want to be too bulky. Okay, and I have got fabulous samples. Remember, you cannot use your magnetic platform for this. No magnetic platform, but you can use either your small multi-purpose platform or your extended multi-purpose platform, which either one you have is fine. You cannot use a color or a solid core paper. Solid core paper will not work. You will sand and sand and sand and sand and nothing will change. You also can't use the whirlwind double mates because when you sand this, again, it will not work. You need to use either the Coredinations color core paper or any kind of double-sided paper that tears to white. When you tear it, you see that white in the middle. So let's talk about samples. Let me bring out some samples because we've got beautiful, beautiful samples for you. Ooh, these two we used the stencils from Memory Box and we used them just for that. We just laid down the color. We inked on the color and made some really cute cards. How cute is that? using a stencil just as it's intended to be used. Now we could have sprayed it or misted it. We used Memento here. You could use your Tim Holtz Distress inks. You can try, you're only doing it on paper. Give it a whirl, see what happens. But then we've got lots of samples where we have gone ahead and embossed with them. Now here, we didn't sand the embossing. We left the embossing or the texturing unsanded because we just wanted to give a little bit of a look without it being flat. We didn't want this red piece to be flat. But isn't that a beautiful card? Gorgeous card. Here, we've embossed it, textured it, and sanded it using the Coredinations paper. And here you can really see the contrast. And again, these can be used as mats. All cards are small mats for your scrapbooking pages. You could have done this and then put a picture right on top of it and used it as a mat. Same thing here, we left it unsanded just to give a little bit of a texture, a definition to the sheet of paper so it didn't look so flat and so boring. Isn't this one pretty? Let me back it up and then let me bring it in. Isn't that one beautiful with the butterflies? Gorgeous, isn't it? And then here, here this one is inked. Here it is embossed. Look at that with that big butterfly on top. Who wouldn't want to get that card? Yum! Love it. And here we've gone ahead and we have cut out the butterflies. We embossed them using the embossing folder, or embossing, or mask, I guess it's more a mask than a folder, but then we fussy cut them out. So we still got the definition on them and then we put them right on top of the background. Look at, isn't that beautiful? And they're so simple to do and they don't need a lot of stuff to them because they are their own stuff. They make the card. Again, this is the one we did for the make and take that everybody did. And this is called Resting Bird. And I have it somewhere here, I think. It's a die, it's not a stencil. It is a memory box die called Resting Bird. And it makes, oh my gosh, we had, I can't tell you how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these tiny little birds that we just then glued on. But it's a $5 die, and it's a $5 texture or mask. My gosh, can you imagine all the cards you could do? You could do it for summer or winter, spring, summer, and fall, just depending on the background you use and the color birds you use. Isn't that fabulous? That's why I chose it, because it's a great all-over multi-purpose embossing, or I want to say embossing folder, but it's not, it's a mask, but it embosses. So, okay, so that one we did for the make and take. Here we've got a 4th of July with the stars. And then another. Love, it's kind of a gritty, grungy. Love it, love it. And then Mary Lynn did a couple layouts for you. So here we have where we've inked it and where we've used where we've used the mask to emboss. And there's the page, getting ready for fall. Isn't that a pretty page? So she just cut a piece of paper here, put on a simple sheet of craft paper, masked on it, used a piece of ribbon right down the center to make this layout. And then the last layout she did is beautiful. Well, they're all beautiful, Mary Lynn, you do a great job. Look at there. Now here, she used it as a mask and inked on the butterflies, and I think she used Brilliance. We used a Brilliance ink there to get that shimmer. Same size, we use the dewdrop size in the Brilliance too, but it's a pigment ink, so it takes a little time to dry, but look at that shimmer you get. And then she used the same to emboss here and pop a couple of the little butterflies up. Really cute. Beautiful layout. She did a beautiful job. Hope you guys can see it. So then we've got the product. And I can't show you all the memory box because there's just too many of them, the new masks. But I did pull out, oh, here, ta-da! Resting birds. This is a die, not a mask, but that's what we did with that little card. So resting birds. But here are some of the other masks. This is the one that is the last card. That's the mask that did this card here. And flowers, and more butterflies. This one's beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. And we showed you that one a little bit earlier. It had all the glitter on it. Aren't they gorgeous? And they're reasonable, $5.50. And of course they're gonna be on a YouTube Yummy. Look at this. Oh my gosh. It's a card itself. You just do that, sand it, it's done. It's a card in itself. So there's some of the memory box masks. And then remember I was telling you about Coredinations. Well, they've got several different packs of the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 is what it is. So this is the darks, and this is whitewash, and this is brights. And then they have the same in 6 by 6 sheets. So we will have all of these on a YouTube Yummy. The 6 by 6 will have the 4 1/2 or 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 on a YouTube Yummy. All of the memory box masks will be on a YouTube Yummy, and we'll put the Memento inks on a YouTube Yummy. We haven't done them in a while, so we'll put the Mementos inks on the YouTube Yummy as well. All right, I'm gonna tilt up, and I'm gonna say, oh my gosh, 100 YouTubes down. I don't know how many more to come. We'll just have to wait and see how that goes, but let's hope for lots more. And it's time for you to go post your comment. Well, first you gotta know where to shop. You gotta shop at www.shop@sms.com. www, the word shop, the word @sms.com, and all the YouTube Yummies will be there for you. But now it's time for you to go post and let us know what your favorite YouTube over the past 100 has been. You've gone through Stacy with really long hair, Stacy with really short hair, Stacy with medium hair. You've spent several years with me, and it really just it just touches me that you all watch, and I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me be me. And I will see you next time where we announce all of the winners, somewhere between 30 and 40 winners. Boy, you got a great chance this time, so go post your comment, all right? Okay, everybody, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.